Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this Colchester Sports Podcast. You're here with Marty and Maddie. Marty caught a little bit of my singing voice here before the show, caught me with a hot mic. I had no idea. You know what they say though, everybody can sing, not everybody can sing well. Anyway, Marty, how you doing tonight?
Everybody can't sing with an audience. That's how I see it.
A little bit of
However,
unknown audience.
yeah, you did sound pretty good though until I started
Oh,
to
don't give
laugh,
me
and
that.
I think you realized that I was
Don't.
listening to you. I did write you a text and say don't quit your day job on that one, but overall doing well. I feel like we haven't been here for a while, so this is good to get things back in the groove.
It is great. We are wrapped up in the CHEL with summer leagues. Regular season is over. We are set, ready to go here for playoffs. Owen Mullins doing big things in the golf community. The CEC Sports Awards. I know we touched on that last episode, but I want to just give another shout out again to the CEC Boys Hockey. Huge pull for them. Two major awards, a couple lower non-major awards. Anyway, great showing from the CEC Hockey Boys. Great year from that team. Bit of a special squad, if I might say, but yeah, lots happening in the community. It feels like Colchester Stadium set to reopen January 2024. They're not sure. That may be pushed to September 2024. I just checked in, so it'd be nice to get that stadium back. Uh,
I can't see them
yeah,
opening for 4 or 5 months. It's almost like that's a pipe
yeah.
dream to say January. I feel like they should just say September 2024 and start fresh from a full
That's
year.
I think so too. He told me. I said, "Can I book some ice for January?" He said, "Yeah, you can put the request in, but I can't guarantee it. We'll have to revisit that closer." And then that to me just says there's going to be delays. And anyway, I'm just going to plan for September of 2024. We'll see if we can get more ice time at the rec. I'm already working on that today, earlier today, and we'll be ready for the winter CHEL league.
It's going to be exciting. I'm excited for the winter, especially, getting to step back on the ice with the new team that we got going. So we're excited.
It's going to be a big year. I'm hoping for more. We need more ice. That's like first off,
Yeah.
and I think Heather reaching out to me now from the rec. I think that's a good sign. So
You ever
yeah,
have
okay.
have you thought about going to Brookfield at all?
I have today actually. I had that thought. I said, you know what? They're slam packed already too. Though that's the problem. I
Yeah, I
even
don't
tried to
want to
get some
play.
games. No, you don't want to play super super late. And
Yeah,
I tried to get some games last March when we had some blackouts and stuff at the rec and the junior A playoffs and stuff bumped our games. And it was impossible. It was like super hard. It was like Saturday nights or there's one-offs here and there late March that we were able to snag for the rec division. But anyway, if I get there early, maybe it's a possibility. So it's something I'll look into for sure. Because you could play like if we did 1.5 games a week. So you play one game one week, 2 games the next week, kind of rotating. I think yeah, you could look at playing one game at the rec, one game at Brookfield, the next. You know what I mean? So it'd be kind of one in each location. I don't know. I'm just gonna kind of put it all out there and request it all. We might have to do one more season of that how we adapted this year, where it was kind of like we're just at the mercy of the rec. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But after that, when the stadium's back and we have two ice surfaces in Truro right in town, I think I'm excited for that. Then we'll have hopefully a ton of ice to use and play with. But anyway, let's get into this CHEL stuff here. The Colchester Hockey Elite League season is wrapped up. We have in first place secured the Titans. And you can roll the clip back, but somebody early in the season destined the Titans to come out this year on top. I don't know who that was.
if I
Uh,
remember correctly, the Titans were also destined last summer. I believe they had probably, arguably debatable, the best team last summer, and they didn't win. Do you remember who won?
of course. Yeah, you're right. Second place, the Snacks with their big win over the Hogs there on the weekend. Snacks secure that second seed. Third place, Colchester Excavation. That strong start bode well for them.
Barely hung on.
Hung on with a tie to close out the season. Fourth place, the Hogs. Surprising. They fell to fourth. And fifth place, your Bud Heavy. New to the league. Inaugural season. Bud Heavy, and then your Purple Dragons in the 6th spot. And we've been saying it all year, but don't count out the Purple Dragons.
It's playoff time, man, and if they get a full lineup, if Gavin can somehow squeeze out some time to get down here, and I don't know what their goalie situation is going to be come game one, whether or not they're going to start Alec or Colby. But, I mean, truth be told, Alec is arguably the better goalie. So, you start him in nets, anything can happen against that red team. They got a couple good snipers up front, yourself and Bryson Curry, but it's hard to say.
Stop the show. Stop the show. Did you give me my first compliment in my life?
Yeah, I had to. I've been shitting
Wow.
on you enough, so you
I love it.
Take
Podcast
it, run
Marty.
with it. It's the only one you're
You've
going to
turned
get.
the corner. Podcast Marty has turned the corner.
This podcast is a long ways from over.
You're right. And you know what? What better team to upset than the red team, if I'm being objective about it. The Purple Dragons probably got their dream matchup in the league, like, just if I'm looking at it from stepping back from my playing spot. That team, that's the second team. That's the team I would want. If I'm purple, you don't want to play Snacks. You don't want the Hogs. Why not play the Colchester Excavation? So I'm looking forward to that matchup. Let's get into this playoff picture a little bit.
So
here.
I want to say something first.
Yeah.
You touched on, so you got Titans 1, Snacks 2. They get the buys. Hogs 3. Snacks 3. No, holy crap. Titans 1, Snacks 2, Colchester 3, Hogs 4. I believe they were separated by 2 points, 2 or 3 points tops. So that game Sunday night was huge. There was so many scenarios running through that game. It could have came down to goals for, goals against. Like, there was a 3-way tie potentially that could have happened if there was a tie in the game. It was pretty wild. There were some fireworks in that game. We'll touch base on that later. But the Hogs finishing 4th is not to their play. I believe it's just how close the league is. They could have easily finished first with a win and a lot of goals. So it was tight.
That's actually a really good point. And you're right, they could have finished first if they had lit up the Snacks there by, I think they had to win by 6.
They had to win by 6, and the Titans had to lose.
Yeah, which they ended up winning a pretty big one there, but it was still possible. And I want to just mention that the Hogs, I think, had a slow start. I think they had some growing pains. It's half of a new roster, half of the winter guys, and so they had some growing pains at the start there. And that it's a short season, 10 games. Every game's important. And I think the same thing about the Purple Dragons. I want to say the same thing. I think it was a slow start for them. I think they improved almost every game. And they lost 5-3 to the Hogs with me in nets. So I think that's like, if you have Alex, that's a 3-3 game. You know what I mean? It's just, they've improved. And then they had a close game. They went back and forth with the Snacks there. I know it ended up 9-5 or something, but it was kind of back and forth. But anyway, they've had some close games. And I like the progression that they're on. They're kind of going on this upward, like they've improved each time. I think that they're playing more like a team and not just 2 stars and a bunch of guys, buddies hanging out. They kind of like came together and had a play style. They're learning how to play.
If they have an effort like they did against the Titans when they lost in the shootout, watch out.
Yeah. That purple team that did that game, that would beat a lot of the games Red played this season. I'll just leave it at that.
That's fair.
All right, first series. So I guess that is the first series. We have the 3 verse 6 is your Colchester Excavation and the Purple Dragons. In the first round, best 2 out of 3. That game's going to get underway this Sunday, 8 o'clock at the Rec. So, yeah, what do you like? What are you looking for? And what does each team need to do here to be successful?
Well, I'll just get right out of the way. If Brent Walters continues his hot play and plays as well as he can, the series is over before it starts. Doesn't matter who plays nets for the other team. Brent, when he started the season, he was on fire. Back-to-back MVPs. Arguably could have won the Vezina pretty easily. Again, we'll maybe touch on that after. But I think if Brent plays as well as he can, it might be over. That being said, I just said here a couple minutes ago, if G and Gavin are both playing, and the supporting cast of Rylan McIntyre and Kyle Blair and Ryan Brule, if those guys can somehow exploit maybe your right hand side defenseman, it
Specific.
nah, it's okay. We'll leave them out. It could be a different story. I think if Purple can get, excuse me, what I'm trying to say here is if Purple can get to Brent, who knows? That I think that's the X factor right there. And then who Purple starts in nets. So it's going to come down, like every playoff series does, it's going to come down to a battle of the goalies.
True.
I really think that's the difference in this series.
Gavin, what's his likelihood for Game 1 Sunday night? What do you think?
This would be one of those moments where, like, you're on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It's like, can I call a friend? We'll call Gavin. Hey, Gavin, you playing?
I'm saying he's in. He's not missing that.
I said this to a couple guys today. I said, you want to see things change on a dime? It's the regular season to the playoffs in the CHEL. This is why we have the 20-man roster. This is why you submit your roster 4 or 5 weeks before the playoffs start. You put as many names as you want on that roster, up to 20. I said this in a couple podcasts before. You could put Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon on there if you wanted to. They could show up for the playoffs. So Gavin didn't play a lot of games in the regular season. I think just his availability didn't work out, especially the week. Mm-hmm. But we have a Sunday night game, Game 1. What if Purple squeaks out Game 1? Gavin can't make Game 2. And I'm not just saying it's Gavin. It's not, because it's not.
Yeah.
It's a team effort. But let's just hypothetically, for the purpose of this conversation, they lose Game 2. Game 3 is a Sunday night, and Gavin's there.
You know what? I love it, and I want to say we didn't see any Game 3s in the Winter CHEL playoffs. Every game, every
change.
Series. Oh, I love it. Yeah, every series was ended in 2 games, and we had this exact 6 teams, exact format. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 series. We're all sweeps, 2 games, and so yeah, I think that's kind of not remarkable.
Well,
but that's...
you have to remember too. We did have in the winter we had a 2-game total goal series for the first round.
Fair, that's fair. But they were both wins. They were
both wins, so it would have been 2-game sweep regardless.
Yeah.
However, I think your mindset, for example, I can't remember exactly who it was. It might have been who played Novus? Was it the Hogs? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you go into Game 2 down 4-1, knowing that you have to win the next game by 4 goals, your mindset is you're 100% offense off the get-go. It's a hard task. So it is nice that we do have this 2 out of 3, no goal, no total goal. We're not playing soccer anymore.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Just continuing to try new things with the league, always trying to make things better. And we tried the 2-goal thing. I didn't hate it because they were sweeps anyway. But yeah, we'll try these best 2 to 3, and I think you're right. I think we'll see some Game 3s.
You really test out the hockey knowledge of the guys on the ice. Because let's just hypothetically say you have a 2-goal series, and Novus had won that second game 5-1. Are they smart enough to realize that you got to have some overtime here?
I hope so. I made sure to notify the refs when that happened. I did make sure to be like, hey, if this happens tonight, it's a shootout. All right, who do you got? Game 1, 2, and 3, or did you just want to say who do you got for the series?
I like controversy. I like causing a little stir. Sorry, Red. I'm taking Purple Dragons in 3.
Oh my god. Podcast Marty doesn't disappoint. All right.
I'm telling you, here's my reasoning, okay? So Brent was super good for you guys all year. he did kind of falter at the end. Maybe his emotions got the best of him. He had some situations there. Maybe not the happiest teammate at some points, but again, if Purple can get to Brent, now it's the playoffs, fellas. Put some bodies in front. Don't let them see some pucks. Again, it's the playoffs. Ramp the intensity up. So if Purple can get to Red, and maybe throw out a shutdown line, and if they can contain your speed, and Bryson's spotty. You look at his stats throughout the year. Yeah, he did pass you in goal scoring, but he did have a four goal game. If they can shut down a couple of those guys, don't let the McHugh brothers get going, there's a chance. So,
Yeah.
Purple in 3.
Wow. I like it. I would, I'm a big underdog kind of guy too. I'm gonna have to go here with Colchester Excavation, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go the distance. I think we are going 3 games. Big game 3.
Do you think they
But
would allow you to play if you had a said Purple?
I'm just gonna say I don't think Red's winning it all. So I, there will be a time where I have to pick a team over them, which is okay. I want to put this out because I texted somebody this too this week. Maybe I think I told all the captains there can only be one winner, right? In a hockey game, there's only one winner. In the league, there's gonna be one winner. So that means 5 teams are gonna lose, and that's okay. Like I find it a little bit shocking that I know there's a lot of pride, a lot of emotion, and guys play for a lot of ego. There's a lot of things going on that people really care. But it's a hockey game at the end of the day, and there's going to be a loser and a winner. And I think if we can try to lose with some class, anybody, this is for everybody. It's okay. Like, you can still have fun and lose a hockey game. I think that's what's missing, I guess. I'm not going to try to get super philosophical, but just lose and like have fun. Like, anyway, that's why I thought the Bud Heavy series, if Red got with Bud Heavy, that'd be such a fun series. I'd be happy to lose to those kids. Like, they just want to play hard and they play fast. It's pretty clean. Like, you're not getting whacked by Braden. You're not getting, like, it's not happening. Anyway, it just would have been a fun series. So I'm looking forward to the Hogs and Bud, because that'll be a fast one. But anyway,
So
that
here's
just lose with some grace. Sorry, go ahead.
no, it's all good. Here's a question for you, since you brought up a good topic. So I think we should let this out now. I think we did before. So there's no ties. Obviously, we're in the playoffs. What's the format after regulation? Are we going right to the
Okay.
shootout? Like,
Yeah, this is a good question because there's a lot of different ways to go about this, obviously. And I have an hour drive twice a day that I put some thought into it. So the big issue is when we initially got the league going, I said, hey, we're going to do a shootout if there's any ties. And she basically said, the rec basically told me, you only have your time limit. That's it. You can't go over your time limit. Like, you're done. So no matter what, if it's tied, if the game's not even over, that's it. We had an issue in the first summer CHEL, as a lot of us know, or if you were around, you're aware of, that the finals ended in a tie. The Zamboni drivers opened the doors. We did not have a resolution. We did not have a winner. That's kind of awkward for the finals of the league. And so they gave us a free ice time, and that we were able to complete the final. So we were able to redo the
tied
final.
again.
And it did end in a tie. Thankfully, they did give us. Did we do an overtime? Yeah, we did a 5-minute overtime. I thought.
Yeah, we did a 5-minute overtime, which I sat in the box for 3 minutes of it.
I think I was on the ice for killing that for you. And then
yeah,
a shootout.
yeah.
So that is what I want to do for the finals for sure. I don't know if we can do it for the whole playoffs. And my worry is that we're now basically asking for, like, just hypothetically, every game goes to 5-minute overtime and then a shootout. You're adding, 10 to 12 minutes maybe of game or of ice time that we don't have rented. And at the end of the day, you can't just get free ice all, like, you know what I mean? That's a ton of free ice that we're just kind of asking because we want it. Now, may not be that often. I do think we'll see a lot closer games. Again, Titans and Purple Dragons, the sixth place team, took the Titans, the first place team, to a shootout. So it can happen in any series, is what I'm trying to get at. And so I'm going to put this out. Okay, I don't want to be super wishy-washy, but I'm working it out right now with the rec. Like today, I sent communication email over, and we'll have it ironed out by Sunday. But here's my plan. I think we're going to go with shootouts until the final, and in the 3 games in the final. So if you end in a tie, in the first couple series, it's going to go right to a shootout to get a winner. In the final, the 3 games, I want a 5-minute straight time, stop time. I think I want to do stop time.
Keep it consistent.
3-on-3, and then a shootout if necessary. But personally, obviously, I would love to have 5 minutes overtime for every series. And then a 3-on-3 format, and then into a shootout. That is my personal preference. To make that happen, do we go down to 2 18-minute stop time periods? I know, I don't like it either, but that's a way to save 4 minutes of game time that we can now not, we're not going too much into this, time that we're not renting, that we're not paying for. But obviously we're losing real game time. So I'm not really a fan of that. It's just an option of, this is how we definitely get a 5-minute overtime plus a shootout in. But anyway, so right now, I'm just going to put it out there officially. Shootouts until the finals, which will be a 5-minute 3-on-3, followed by a shootout. However, I am going to run the idea by the rec that we do a 5-minute shootout, or 5-minute 3-on-3, and then a shootout for the entire playoff. It just might be a tough sell.
Yeah, I agree. I can see maybe a little leeway because, and now I don't know, maybe I'm thinking too much into this, but like, we do have usually 3 ice times on a Wednesday. Now we're dropping down to 2. I don't know if that's going to play into anything where there's a little extra time there, because I don't know if they're going to be able to fill the spot afterwards. I don't know. I do remember last summer coming off the ice, sometimes there was guys waiting. Sometimes we came off, there was no guys waiting. So that's when you're kind of like, man, we could have definitely had, a 5-on-5 overtime kind of thing. But I think if we just kind of say, hey, listen, shootouts for round 1 and 2, 5-minute overtime, then a shootout in round 3. I think that's good. Like, there has to be a winner, so everybody knows there's going to be a shootout. There's no, for instance, last week in the Bud Heavy Red game, we just ran out of time. It ended up in a 7-7 tie.
Ran out of time, but I was unaware because I was late getting to the rink that we were started late too. So I want to make sure.
There was a hole in the ice by the net, by your guys' net, that probably wasted easily 5-6 minutes, which allowed you to make it on time. Because I did see you jump out on the ice, and I was like, "Oh, Matt's here. Game hasn't started yet." That's because it's 8:06.
Yeah. So, okay, I like that. We'll go forward with that. If there's any changes, I'll let the captains know. And like I said, I would love 5-minute overtime. I think that's a better way to finish a game anyway. But
especially a playoff game.
Unless we're renting more ice, which I don't know how you can pay for an extra 10 minutes. Anyway, if this was at the stadium, it'd be no problem. There'd be no issues. The stadium staff, I don't think there'd be any issues with it. The rec is just a different, it's a different place. It's a different venue, so they just have different rules and stuff. But anyway.
Here's a thought. What if you just say, hey, because think about, and then this is kind of a shout out to the rec center. We've brought a whole ton of revenue in for 3 seasons now. Last summer, last winter, we're going to be here as long as we can be. As long as people want to play hockey, we're going to be here.
Yep.
So, as an idea, you say, hey, so-and-so.
Go ahead.
What?
Where's the gummies?
I don't have them.
Where are they?
Chelsea's. You can't yell when I'm in the middle of something. Oops. Okay.
So shout out to the rec center.
Shout out to the rec center. So what if you kind of just said, hey, talk to whoever you need to. we have our playoffs. There's potential 10, 15 games. I don't know what the playoffs could work out. 5 series, 3 games, 15 games max.
Yep.
What if we kind of just keep, because you're a pretty honest guy, so they should be able to trust you by now. If we go over our time limit and it's 5 minutes in game 1, we go over our time limit in the second game and it's 3, like you keep a tally of your time, and when it's all said and done, it works out to be 2 hours. We'll pay them for 2 hours of ice time.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. So I don't think it'd accumulate to 2 hours, but I know what you're saying. Like it could be an extra half hour. I think would be the max.
That's what I mean.
Most games won't go to a shootout, and even if it does, that's what 5 to 10 minutes max. So
yeah,
it might come up to half hour, which is half an ice time. So yeah, maybe that's something I'll run by the rec. I think you're right. I think with the amount of business that we bring that place, think about the summer league. I mean, I have the ice totals on my budget sheet from last summer. That's revenue that the rec, which is an ice service, would never get, right? And the mass amount of bookings that the CHEL makes, and then the winter league, which again, that's probably ice they could rent. There's users that want ice in the winter, so fine. We're still bringing a lot of money. But then this summer again, another I think it's like $7-8 grand of ice. That's how much it costs, maybe more. And then the summer tournament, again, another weekend. It's a long weekend in August. Do you think they rent a ton of ice in the long weekend in August? Probably not. So if this tournament goes through well, then boom, here's another chunk that they would never normally see if it weren't for the CHEL.
Right.
So I think that alone should be enough on good grace. And it might be. That's why I'm kind of soft selling it at first with the rec right now. Like I said, it'll be ironed out for Sunday. So there's we're Tuesday now. We have a little bit to go here. And we'll have the official ruling then. But let's move on here. Unless you got something else. I'm ready to
I was just going to say, it's not like we're doing it like at 4, 5, or 6 o'clock when it's their prime time ice time, minor hockey, whatnot, running through their kind of, right? Like it's like, hey, we're not holding up the kids to go on the ice. We're the 8, 9, whatever time at later in the night where there's maybe one ice time after us usually. They can wait 5 minutes.
That's right. And I don't think there's been any this summer. Because sometimes it was Flop. Flop runs the pickup skate. That was last summer.
Yep.
And he is running one this year. It's on Tuesdays, I believe, but it's just not after a CHEL night. There's been no one waiting to get on the ice when I've been at the rink. So anyway, that's a good sign. But let's jump into the next series, the 4 versus 5 matchup. We have the Hogs finishing 4th, taking on your Bud Heavy in the 5th seed.
I'm excited for this series.
This is going to be a good one.
This is going to be great.
You can start this off here too. I want you to kick this off.
So I want to back it up a tiny second here because Sunday night the Snacks played the Hogs, and the Snacks won 4-3, close game. That's what won them the second place in the first round bye. The Hogs did not have Bruce. I believe that's correct. So that was a
Carson.
Bruce and Carson weren't there. So arguably the Hogs should have been second. So any of you that follow the CHEL Instagram or the Culture Sports Podcast Instagram, please do if you don't. Somebody posted today that when you asked the question, what's your playoff prediction? And somebody said Snacks over Hogs because it was a hog roast. Boys, don't be careful what you wish for because they were missing their 2 best players and you just beat them. Anyways, moving on. Hogs and Bud Heavy, different story. Playoff experience versus playoff rookies. You got the old guys versus the young guys. You got an ex-Q player versus a current Q player. Like, I could go down the list. You have a dojo champion on the Bud Heavy. I'm sure somebody on that team, CHEL Rec Division champion in Reezy. Like, you could go down the list. Anyways, this is going to be a great series. We talked earlier about
Hold on. Did you just compare Nick Marshall to Jay Reezy?
I was comparing championships, not the player. I was just saying there's previous champions on this squad.
All right, carry on.
I cannot pad to Jay Reese's ego any more than it already is. So you touched earlier on how potentially the Bud Heavy have the best decor. And I think I brought up how, the Hogs have a solid decor as well with Jordan Mackey and Alex Phillips and Jordan Baxter and I can't forget Andrew Betts.
I got one more. There's a little guy. There's not a little guy. There's somebody on that roster who again hasn't played all year, and I think we will see him this Sunday. Do you know who that is?
Which team, sorry?
The Hogs.
Haven't seen him all year. No, I don't know.
He is the other Scott brother.
Oh, Mitchell.
I would guess that Mitchell Scott will be added. Well, he's already on the roster. I think he'll be put in the lineup. And
again, I say this again. Get your rosters in and put whoever you want on that roster. Because when playoffs come, the boys show up.
And I got a text this morning from Vezina winner Spencer Scott. Hey, is the schedule out yet? I want to let Mitch know when our games are.
So here's a question for you. Since we're on that topic, and I'm going to back it up a little bit again. Does Chase Carter make the drive for Red?
No. I don't know. The answer is I truly don't know. The boys basically say it's a lost cause. We had him for 2 games, and I'm thankful to just even be on the ice with him. So that is the nice thing about this Red team is like, they're not loading up. They don't care. Like they're there to play with their buddies, just like Bud Heavy. I find they're there to play with their friends and have fun, and then like that's it. You're having a good time whether you win or lose with your friends. And I guess I'm not taking a shot at the Hogs because Mitchell Scott is a brother. Like that again, he fits the team.
Yeah.
It's just Mitchell's put on the roster with no, he's not likely to play much because of his work schedule and stuff like that. But anyway, Chase and Mark are unlikely for Colchester Excavation.
Big loss for you guys. But getting back to the series at hand here, here's my worry. So, Bud Heavy played a week and a half ago with 9 guys. And all I heard the whole time, it was the night that I stepped on the bench. All I heard the whole time was complaining and complaining and complaining about, I can't play with 9 guys. Oh, I'm tired. This is too much. And I kept saying, welcome to men's league hockey, fellas. It's time to step up and wake up and smell the roses. Then they played Sunday night with 8 guys. I come to find out that they pulled a guy out of the stands to give him a 9th guy, or actually, from what I heard from Alex Field today, was to give a couple guys a break.
Which is illegal.
Yes, illegal, 100%. They did lose the game 12-2. So that's my next point. So you play with 9, you complain. You play with 8, you complain, you get bombed. It does not bode well heading into the playoffs. Your new goalie, who came out hot in the first game, gets shelled for 12. Your stars, Nick scored, Marshall and Glantz scored. I don't know who else they had playing for them that night. You only had 8 guys.
Nick Gallant, he's been silently very effective. I got to say that. He's
Agreed.
been good all year.
Absolutely.
Finding the score sheet. He drives the net well. Doesn't get a lot of mention, but Nick Gallant, he's been great all year.
Agreed, 100%, absolutely.
I got one more thing actually on that. Does that sound familiar about Eli James? Does that sound like anything else that may have happened this summer on that team even? Was there another goalie that had a hot start who shut out a team, got the first shutout of the season, who then
got shelled? Yeah.
Hold on. We gotta not point the fingers at the goalies here, baby.
It's playoffs, man. I honestly when you talk about a championship winning team. Take the NHL for example. When Vegas beat Florida, Bobrovsky was hot all series long. But guess what? He ran into a goalie who was hotter in Aiden Hill, who got traded for a 3rd-round draft pick and then won the Stanley Cup. Or maybe it was a 6th-round draft pick. I don't even know, but it was a crazy high draft pick. You're coming into the playoffs now. Your goalies need to be arguably your best player. Because games are going to be won 2-1, 3-2. We're going to have some overtime games. Your goaltenders need to be on. And again, men's league hockey, maybe they don't care. Nonchalant, coming out. Well, guess what? If that's your attitude, stay home.
That's right.
Honestly, though, man, like if I get to play, which I'm okay not, it's okay. If I get to play, I'm there to play. I want to win.
Yep.
I don't want to let my team down. Don't want to let the guys down. So if you're not gonna, nonchalant and everything, don't show up. Don't play. But
Okay. Question
yeah.
for you.
Yep.
Who do you have? Well, this is the most important question of the series. What are the chances that you get called to the lineup?
0.
Oh,
0.
Phil Kessel.
Hey, that's fine. Phil Kessel won a cup.
Can't complain.
No, he's got 3 of them.
All right.
So,
Who do you got? Who do you got for that series?
boys, I'm sorry. Spencer Scott, Vezina Trophy winning, too good. Jordan Mackey, Alex Phillips, Jordan Baxter, too big. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean too big. Like, these guys are good defensemen. They're going to be tough to get around. They're going to force you outside. They might put a little body on you. Nothing crazy, fellas. But they're good defensemen. And then I'm going to chuck Bruce, Carson, Ben Sheffer, Tyler Totten, like Matt Vora. Like, I got the Hogs. I got the Hogs in the sweep. I just don't want to bet against Bruce.
Everybody's scared of Bruce. Even
He was in the store. He was in the store a little while ago, and I had to ask 2 people. Is that Bruce? I think that's Bruce. Is that Bruce? Oh, that's Bruce. Okay.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Hogs in 2.
Yeah, I want to say Hogs in 3, but I'm with you. I got the Hogs in 2. The boys are going to be fired up, though, in that Bud Heavy dressing room from this. I know that, but that's all right.
Little bit of reverse psychology here. I'm picking the Hogs because I just think they're going to win. But at the same time, I'm trying to fire up my boys and prove me wrong and knock these guys out. That would be great.
I'd rather see the Hogs in 3, but I want to see 3 games. I don't care who wins, but I think you're right. It's going to be a Hogs sweep. 2 close games, though. I'm calling close games.
Yeah. And here's the other thing too. Here's the issue. And I talked to Alex Field today, and I mentioned this to him. Excuse me. But when we played you guys, and we had a line of Nick Marshall, Nick Gallant, and Sam, and we tied you guys 7-7. I believe we scored 6. That line scored 6 of the 7 goals. You guys scored probably 6 or 5 of your goals against the other line. You just ate them up. So I'm just worried that if Bud Heavy goes that direction again, that if I was the Hogs and I noticed that and I threw out Bruce, Carson, and Jay and put them out against opposite of Nick and Nick's line, Hogs win all day.
I don't know. I like that decor, though, still. I think we haven't really seen that decor play true to form yet because Braden's missed a few games. Simon hasn't been there a whole lot. I'd like to see... Yeah, I think that's where it starts. I think it starts with the decor. It starts with Braden, the Norris Trophy winner. Mitch King, that's where it all starts. They're the rock. I think from there it extends to Eli, and he has to hold some of that pressure. And then it goes Nick, and Sam, and whoever else. You got to score 3. You got to beat Spencer 3 times. They're gonna win games 3-2 if they beat that Hog team.
Here's an X factor for you, and I know you love this player. I haven't seen him play yet, but if Max Greatorex shows up and plays well, maybe that's the difference. Just another reason that you can love this Bud Heavy defenseman.
The best decor in the league. All right, so we got the Hogs in 2. I got Colchester. You got Purple. going off the board there. But okay, so let's do your bracket first then. So purple will then play the Titans,
Purple will then
and
play the Titans.
snacks would play your Hogs.
The Hogs.
Oh my God, that would be fun.
So, I mean, you kind of got to ride the Cinderella story at that point. I'm just kidding. Purple will beat red, but then I'm going to take Titans. Now, here's the other thing too. So July 2nd would be Sunday. That's when the games are going to start. Hypothetically, if both series go 3 games, the Titans will be off for 1 week, 2 week, so 17 days. The Titans will be off for 17 days. Purple will have played 3 games, and you know what? That's the downside of getting a bye. You know, I also heard today from a reliable source, Chad Tucker, that the Titans might hold a practice, maybe, just to keep the boys' legs fresh, which I'm telling you right now is the best news I heard all day. That is dedication to the league, and I love it.
That's true.
That tells me right there that the guys in that dressing room care and they're buying in, and I like it. So the only thing that worries me is that they're going to be off for so long. Purple Dragons coming off, if they win, a huge series, all the momentum, you know, knowing that they've taken this team to a shootout before. Who knows? Maybe they get one. I can't see it. Fraser White, Lady Bing Trophy winner, will step up and get that dressing room rolling. Titans will sweep that one in 2. The other series for me will be the Snacks and the Hogs. And best on best, I'll take Hogs in 3.
Wow.
Which sets up Titans versus Hogs in the final. And boy, oh boy, that will be a classic.
It's a nice bracket. Okay, then so Titans Hogs, who do you got?
Somebody in 3. Don't know who. I just hope it's 3 hard fought, close, clean, exciting games. You know what? I'm going to jump on your bandwagon.
Let's go.
I think I'm going to take the Titans in 3.
Wow. Okay. I mean,
Now, remember, sorry to cut you off. This is all pending the Purple Dragons winning. So I need Purple to win so the Titans can win. Because the bracket would completely change.
So, okay, well, going back to mine then.
Yep.
Because red would beat purple, so it's kind of the opposite scenario. We still both have the Hogs beating Bud. So my second round is the Titans and the Hogs is the second round matchup. So we don't get the nice final that you had, I guess. And we have the Snacks and Colchester Excavation. So, I mean, right off the top, I think you got to go Snacks in 2. Unless Brent can find that inner Bobrovsky that we've seen, and I think part of that too is the red team has to play a bit more as a team defensively. I find they can get running around in their own end and lost basically, and the Snacks are going to make you pay when that happens. All that offensive talent, all the smart hockey IQ they have. So I'm going to go Snacks in 2, and then we have the Titans and Hogs. That's going 3. I think Spencer Scott steals you a game, and I got Titans in 3 as well. So then that sets up a Titans and Snacks final, which is also that'll be a battle. That's got to go 3 for sure. I think Dylan. I think it'll rest on the goalies there. I think it'll be how well can Dylan play for three games in a row, and can Curry hold up 3 games in a row. So I'm gonna stick with my Titans in 3, and we're gonna put together the clip from when I said it at the start with the clip of us saying the Titans are the champions, and this one probably in the middle, and I'm gonna look like a genius.
So we're both going Titans here.
Yeah, the difference is I said it from the start.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
fair.
I'm just kidding.
That's fair. I just hope that the Titans can finally put together the playoff success after their regular season success.
That's true. Are they the Canucks?
Oh,
Maybe they're the
are they the
Canucks.
Leafs?
Yeah,
All this regular season success, only to lose. It's a lot
we'll
of ways.
find out.
Just skip right to next year.
Ooh, that Canucks reference, that aged me a bit, eh? That's like 2007 to 2011.
With the Sedines.
Yeah. Damn. Okay, let's move on. All right, so do you want to jump into the awards here quickly, or do you have something else in mind?
No, we can jump into the awards. We kind of touched based on them throughout the um, series there that we had going. But so we did kind of actually, you know what? I'll let you explain how we did the process for the awards.
Ooh, this is super fun. I had a lot of fun, and I put in too much thought again to the process, but I care too much. Anyway, so we had 6 awards for the summer league, and those are including your MVP. I'm just not going to use the actual names. Just going to call them there. MVP, your most goals of the year, defense of the year, goalie of the year, rookie of the year, and most sportsmanlike. So what we did was we had 6 captains, so the 6 team captains, as well as myself acting as the league commissioner and Marty as like the vice league commissioner, and then
President. I like that title.
we'll take vice president. And so we had 8 people, 8 people on the voting panel. We had an anonymous poll set up, and so it was me and Marty kind of talked out the players for each category, and that took a couple days. We removed ourselves. I kind of got my list. He got his list. We kind of came together and talked about it. Removed ourselves again. Kind of reworked it, and then came up with our list. So, and we'll make a post here on Instagram with all the nominees and the winners and all that kind of stuff. But we'll talk about the Hart because I think that one's, I don't know, just the MVP of the league. It's kind of the big one to me.
That's the big one. Leave that to the end.
Okay.
That's the big
let's
one.
talk about the Vezina then. We'll start with the Vezina,
Sure.
the goalie one, because I love the goalies. So I felt personally that there's only 4 goalies eligible for this, for the best goalie of the league. I thought there was a lot of goalies that played a little bit, just not enough. Like, Eli and Alex, not enough games. So we ended up with 4 goalies. So how it worked was if of the 8 people that were voting, you ranked them 1 to 4. If they ranked number 1, you got 4 points. If you ranked number 2, you got 3 points. If you ranked number 3, you got 2 points. And if you ranked 4th, you got 1 point. So based on your order is how many points you got. 8 people voting, or 8 people ranking, and then we ended up with how many points each person received. Want to put in right here a disclaimer that I'm going to edit this process for the winter. This is a good trial. It was a step in the right direction. I think there's some flaws, and whenever there's something a flaw in a system, I like to try to improve it as much as I can without over micromanaging it all. And so it will be changed a little bit, but I like getting the captain's input on this. I like that it wasn't just me and Marty just kind of sitting down and saying, here's who we like. Everybody kind of got to have their input on it. Now, that comes with, anyway, I don't need to get into all the backstory of all that, like the bias and all that stuff. But anyway, do you want to get into the winners now, or?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, so for the Vezina, I'm going to get my phone here for this one.
I got it right here.
I just needed to reference to talk about it. This one was one of the tightest. This was the 4 goalies, the 4 nominees for this one were Spencer Scott, Dylan Bergmark, Jacob Curry, and Brent Walters. Those are the 4 guys, and in a 2-point difference, which is basically, like, if you think about it, if somebody put the 2 points is all it is a 1 position swing. So, if the second place guy was voted first and the first place guy was voted second, well, he loses 1 and he gains 1. It ends up being a tie. So, like, that's how close it was. Basically, it came down to one person could have influenced it. Spencer Scott finishing first. I think I worked it out to he had 4 first place votes. I don't know actually, I have that stat here for sure. I'll pull that up in a sec. 4 first place votes for Spencer Scott. Brent Walters finishing second after a remarkable season, I think. and I'll make it public that I had Brent first without the bias. I guess I'm on the red team, but I liked Brent this year just with what he brought to that red team, and the red team's not the same without him. Jacob Curry finishing third, and Dylan Bergmark with in the fourth seed there. Any thoughts there, Marty?
Like you said, it came down to possibly one vote. I personally think I had Spencer one, and the reasoning behind that was, and you could argue this both way. Brent had a hot start, maybe not so hot finish. Spencer had a tough start, a super hot finish. And I think that's it was super close. So when you get 8 guys voting and it becomes down to essentially 2 points, it could have been either way. Hats off to both guys. Actually, hats off to all 4 guys. They've all had great seasons, and you'll hear me say that again on all these awards. The players had great seasons. Spencer, in my opinion, was just a touch better. But, again, hats off to Brent.
And that's
Red
fair.
Red is where they are because of Brent.
Yeah, and I think that that's fair. So that both goalies were great this year, and the voting process was for this reason. And so Spencer Scott with 4 first place votes, Brent Walters with 3. So that's how close that
That's
came.
your difference.
Yeah, right there. Okay,
Norris.
Let's go to the defense of the year vote analytics here. So it's kind of cool too. Like I can on my phone here, I have like pie charts and stuff based on the poll. Anyway, pretty cool. So we have here the Norris Trophy winner, which is the best defenseman of the year. We have Braden Schmidt, and I think it wasn't as runaway as I thought.
This was close too.
It was close. Yeah. Braden Schmidt finishing first. Lee Davidson finishing second from the Titans. Hold on here. Third,
correct,
Tim
yeah.
Porter of the Snacks, and Jordan Mackey from the Hogs finishing fourth, and Mitchell King in your 5th seed there. Again, Simon, there's other guys that probably could have been included, just not enough games played, or it just didn't feel right. And I thought Mitch King had that season where, he was solid. He was a good leadership guy. He was there most games. I don't know about all of them, but probably all of them. Braden Schmidt 5 first place votes, and Lee Davidson had 3. So again, kind of a close one. And the first doesn't matter. It's not based on first place votes. This is kind of the stats I can provide from the poll.
It just shows you how close it was. When you compare it to, for example, the NHL awards happened last night, and Connor McDavid won the Hart Trophy award. I believe it's back to back now, and he had, of a possible 196 first place votes, he had 195. That's gonna win you a Hart Trophy.
Yeah, that's true. Somebody voted him 5th though.
Yeah,
Fire that
Jack
guy.
Edwards. For all you people out there that are Boston Bruins fans, you want to talk about the most biased announcer in sports history. It's Jack Edwards. I will purposely turn a French broadcast on before I listen to Jack Edwards. Anyway, moving on.
All right, what do you want to hit next?
Lady Bing.
All right. I'm just pulling it up here. Lady Bing, the most sportsmanlike player of the year. Let me just open it up. Okay, so we had first place here, the 5 nominees. So let's just get into it. First place, we had Fraser White finishing first, and this was by a bit of a margin. Second place was Carson Lansley, and third place, the Bud Heavy roster. So that was a fun one to kind of throw on. Travis Bentley and Kyle Blair tying for that last seed. The last 4 were pretty close. Fraser did pull away a little bit in the end for that one, but yeah, I think 5 good candidates. I think they all make sense. All, I think, played with sportsmanlike and cared about the league and played super clean. So I'm super happy with that.
That was one that I don't think it really mattered who you had in that kind of little bracket. I think Fraser was always winning that.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, what do we have next year? Is it the Heart?
Uh, no, obviously the Rocket Richard is a pretty clear cut and dry. Whoever you think, I believe. So Sam Archibald from the Underground Snacks takes that home.
What did he finish with? 21?
20, yeah, something ridiculous.
21
21,
goals. And he didn't
something
play
like
all
that.
10 games for sure.
No, no. So hats off to Sam. That's pretty incredible. So there's a little shout out to whoever plays the Snacks in round two. You know, and when the playoffs happen, there's always a defensive player that plays against the best players, and sometimes you win a series because of that. Look at Philip Deneau a couple of years ago. Pretty much shut down anybody he played against that year
Yep.
for Montreal.
100%. Yeah.
So who's going to be that guy on your team? Shut down Sam. It's a tall task, but
It is a
I
tall
got respect
task.
for you if you want to give her a go.
Yeah. Then we had the Rookie of the Year. We didn't actually end up that one in the voting for this year. We did forget about it. But Aiden Tucker was in the MVP conversation. The criteria for the Rookie of the Year, too, is we're going to have it, I think, a player under 20. We have to decide if it's going to be 20 and under, like age 20 and under, or U20. Because the Winter League doesn't feature as many youth because they're obviously playing elsewhere.
You could arguably make it like, and we can decide this at a later date. But we could argue this because for those of you who don't know, when Matt and I tried to put this together, my head still hurts trying to argue back and forth about why we think this player should be here and why we think that player should be there. Anyways, you could arguably say that a first-time CHEL player can technically win that award if they're good enough.
Yeah, yeah, we could probably do that. The problem is keeping track of who's played and who's been on a roster and who hasn't.
Well, I mean, you're looking at the guy that does all the rosters and inputs all the names. I'm pretty confident.
What if you're on the roster and you don't play? I don't know. I have to put more thought into it all.
Yeah, no, that's fair. A time for another day. Anyway, so I believe we had nominees for that award were Aiden Tucker, Matt Vora. I believe Braden was also included in that. Maybe I don't remember.
Yep, Braden was. Okay,
Bryson.
sorry. Bryson Curry got put on the list. So you have Aiden. Sorry, I missed that first part. Aiden Tucker, Matt Vora, Braden Schmidt, Nick Marshall for sure, Bryson Curry, and we had a sixth guy. G Blackmore.
G Blackmore, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I mean, I think that was for those of you that have been lucky enough to watch the games, or be in the games. I think that one was pretty obvious. I think, however, if Matt Vora had played more game, like a little longer, that maybe he could have won. Hard to say, but Aiden Tucker is well deserved of that. As a 16-year-old, well deserved.
Absolutely, that's huge. I hope he's having fun. That's all I really hope for. Like that's all this league is for, is these guys to come home, and while he's here for the summer, get some reps and stuff. And anyway, hope
Playing
he's just
with
having
Glenn
fun.
and Sandy, how can you not have fun?
Yeah, hope he's having fun. Okay, the Hart Trophy, MVP of the year. This was a fun one. Because all the candidates, like this one for me, putting the candidates together is like the fun, like, these are the guys that kind of just deserve this recognition. I think all six guys here do. So we had Aiden Tucker, like we mentioned, Nick Marshall, Brent Walters, Glenn Frazee, G Blackmore, and your Richard winner, Sam Archibald. So six guys. Yeah. I liked all six guys. I thought this one was a clear runaway, but after kind of like discussing with you a little bit and just seeing some of the votes and stuff, I think it wasn't as... I think there's still an obvious winner, but I don't think it's like a McDavid unanimous winner. I think the season that Glenn Frazee had after... He may have not even played the first couple games, and then all of a sudden he just started scoring hat-tricks every night. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
and then
back to back there at one point.
Yeah, and then he finished the season with another one. Like, Glenn had a great year. Results here, Sam Archibald takes the MVP of the year. 21 goals, I believe it finished on. Glenn Frazee comes in second, and that was tight. Sorry, not super tight, but he was in the mix for sure. Brent Walters, just behind Glenn. That one was tight. in the third spot. Love to see that he got that recognition of like he put up a it's an MVP. It's really hard for a goalie to win an MVP, especially in the NHL. Like, when is the last time that happened? That's a
Last
fact
time,
check.
Jose Theodore, Montreal Canadiens.
Really?
I think so, yeah. Early 2000s.
Aiden Tucker finishing fourth, and he was 1 point behind Brent, and then Nick Marshall and G Blackmore to round out the bottom. And I don't know, all six of those guys, like, it wouldn't matter where you place there. I think being part of, think about it, there's 6 rosters, and I'm gonna say each one has 20 names on the roster. That's 120 hockey players. I don't care if not all of them have played in whatever. Let's say 100 people have played in this league. You're in the top 6. Like, I know it's whatever, it's gentleman's league, whatever. I don't know. It's just trying to make guys, give them the recognition, give them the accolade that thanks for playing. You were G Blackmore. Thanks for doing everything you've done for that purple team. Brent, same thing. That red team's not worth. Like, those guys are super important to their league, the team, and they just played really well all year long.
I think this is the one that you and I butted heads the most. Was, before, because originally I think we were just going to pick, and then you came up with a great idea to, hey, let's involve the captains. They're there. They're the ones playing. What do they think? Which is a great idea. I commend you on that one. One of your finest moments.
Ooh, another compliment.
Another
compliment.
But yeah, we butted heads on this a lot. I think you voted Sam as the winner. I think I had Glenn. It was close.
Yeah, let me pull up the stats on that one. I wish I could see like I think so. That's the thing. The next time, I'm gonna set it up so that we can see the first, second, third, where people are ranking each other, because I like how the NHL can put those out after, and you can kind of see. It'll also hold people accountable for putting their own players first because and other players last. Like McDavid getting 5th, that guy's just wrong. Like, you look at 195 people have him first, and one guy doesn't. You're wrong. Like, it's just you're wrong in that case.
Do you know why I know it's Jack Edwards? Just to touch off topic here, because
why was that?
Pasta was the only one who got a first place vote. So obviously, it was a Boston guy who picked Pasta first, McDavid 5th.
So I wish that was public, so everyone could just say that guy's
It probably is. If we looked hard enough, we could probably find that. Anyways, to touch base on what you're saying there, at the end of the day, it was voted on by your peers. You can't argue with that. These are guys that are out there battling with you every game. So Sam, I know you had a rough night the other night, but these guys voted you as the best player in the league, so I'm going to congratulate you on that. And that goes for all the other awards as well. Voted on by your peers, voted on by the team captains. So everybody who won an award, go ahead.
Yeah, just which in my mind, it should be a reflect. Like, every time the captains are involved, I always think of that as that's a reflection of the team consensus. Now, you're not going to ask every person, hey, who do you want to win the MVP? Okay, tally it all up and say the team picks this guy. But I think, like, every time there's an issue with the league, or every time there's a question about, hey, who wants to play after 11 p.m.? If I ask a question like that, I always feel like the team captains are representing all of their people. It's not just asking Fraser White or Jay Reezy. Yeah, I don't like it because I work at, or I can do it because I work at 10. I don't have to be up early. Well, no, what's your team consensus? So same thing with this. In the perfect world, when you vote, it's thinking of like who deserves it, not what player of mine is on the list. But just to wrap that MVP up there, Sam finished with 5 first place votes, Brent Walters with 1, and Glenn Frazee had 2 first place votes, one of which was from yourself. Anyway, I don't think there's a wrong answer there. Maybe a little bias with Brent. I could probably guess who put Brent in the first, but hey,
he deserved it halfway through the year. He was a runaway.
That's right. For the first 4 or 5 games, he was.
He
was
runaway
the best
MVP.
player in the league.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we can. You know what? Don't even do that because it's not Brent, and I could get into it.
No,
I don't know if the guys on the red team would like it, but
no, it's all good. Hey, you can rewrite history here, and have a good playoff run, and it all goes away.
That's true, and that we missed it. I missed the part of saying, maybe you did that. You did. Never mind. You said it. Okay, so let's get into. You kind of mentioned something about Sam the other night, and I think we got to talk about that right now. What's our time at here, Marty?
105.
Okay, so let's just touch on this. We won't pull this like super long, but in the Hog game the other night, Hogs and Snacks, great game. You know, I'd say pretty clean gentleman's league game for 38 minutes.
How much time is left when this happened?
So the total incident, there was 13 point something seconds left in the game by the time when the clock was stopped.
Okay.
13 point something. There, you know, kind of near the end, you could feel the tension was escalating. You could feel things rising a bit. So I'll say 38 and a half minutes. It was a clean hockey game. There's probably stuff that happened, whatever. And I mean, the video has been circulating, and I'm sure it's being talked about in places. But we don't have to relive the whole encounter. But what if you missed it? There was a hockey play that was a penalty that was a delayed call. The ref had his arm up. The player that got bumped, that got hit, Matt Vora, got up and you know didn't like it, so showed that he didn't like it, gave him a whack. And Sam didn't like that, so gave him a whack back, and then proceeded to cross check him 2 times, which then led to other players getting involved, and a pretty big scrum on the ice. Now, like, yeah, I like. So, me as a person, and I didn't mean to get, like, I don't mean to go this route right away, but when I'm organizing this league, it's kind of embarrassing, and it makes me feel horrible to see. Like, so I was in the timekeeper's box, I was helping Michael out that night, and I was right there live. And it is embarrassing that I'm putting this league on, and there's people on the ice getting so emotional that they're trying to cause physical harm to each other, so, you know, people throwing punches or whatever it may be. Outside of a hockey setting, so like it's not in the play, you're not playing for the puck and you bump somebody, it's embarrassing. And honestly, if it gets to a certain point like this every year, or if it gets to a point where I'm just like, I don't want to be involved in this, or I don't want to be the one, it's just an awkward scenario. You're putting something together to have fun, and then there's a different result happening. Sure, it's going to happen, emotions get high, I understand all that. The game means nothing. Like, I gotta go home, and everyone says I gotta work the next day. For me, I want to go home and be able to, like, play with my kids and, like, pick them up and not have my hands all slashed and, like, it's just I don't know. People gotta learn that there's bigger things outside of this hockey game. So, anyway, let's get back on track. Cale McClellan comes in and gets basically, I don't know, gets on the back of Sam Archibald and was throwing punches at the back of his head. Now that's, say what you want about the whole situation. Sit on whatever side of the fence you want. Cale's been suspended. It's probably been lighter than if I was administering the suspensions. And I want to make that clear is that I'm in the conversation. I'm at the table with the referees and stuff, but I let the referees make all the calls in terms of suspensions, especially where I'm a player in the league. There's nobody, and trust me, I know I've been going for a long time. I'm really good at separating myself from the player hat, taking the player hat off, what's best for the league when I think about the league decisions and commissioning, and then as well as like on the podcast. Even here, it's like I want to be not an analyst, but when I'm sitting here right now, it's just I'm chatting with Marty. I can shoot the shit. I can rip on my own team. Like I critique myself. Like I'm a player in the league. Like Matt as a player. Anyway, I think I'm pretty good at differentiating these different hats, wearing these different hats, and so yeah, I'm backed out of all suspension decisions. I'm in the conversation. I'm at the table, just saying, just helping the referee kind of muddle through it. And they make the call at the end of the day. So there's not one time where I override that, even if it's something I don't agree with. That is what it is. The referees, especially the ones that we have refereed hockey for a long time, have a lot of experience from all levels. They've reffed hockey better than this gentleman's hockey. They've reffed hockey as similar, comparable, but higher stages like finals, provincial finals, and stuff like that. So we got to put trust in the referees, and I don't want to see it in the playoffs. I don't know. I got to cut it off there, so I'll let you jump in.
I've said this before, and it's kind of tough when you talk about these things because you don't want to upset too many people, but at the same time, you don't want too many people to be excited. You never want people to be excited for getting somebody else suspended. That's just the nature of hockey. In this type of play, like to kind of touch base with what you said, Matt, like, Sam ran into Matt. I 100% agree that that's a hockey play. If you watch the video, Vora was turned one way. Sam came in not looking at him. That's a hockey play. This could have been solved if they just got up and skated away. Like, you know, maybe not the smartest decision by Matt Vora in that situation when your team's down a goal and you have the play coming up. And I don't know what the referees were calling there, if they were calling that as an interference. Hard to call that
they
because
were.
he's okay. Even though he was facing the other way, like that, I just feel like that's a hockey play. He ran into him.
I feel like, yeah, because I feel like it was intentionally on purpose. Like, I don't know, obviously that's subjective, but I feel like it was too aggressive to be just considered incidental contact. Anyway, I was right in the box and Dennis skated by and he was in the act of putting his arm up and he had that play as a penalty. So yeah, it was
Okay.
it was being managed within the game at that point.
Right. So at that play, like at that time, kind of, I guess, that you take, Matt gets up, slashes, Sam retaliates. That's kind of the end of that play. And then for what happened after it, I don't think there's a place in this league for it. I think you kind of have to check yourself at the door and realize that, okay, sure, okay, here's the thing. And a lot of people will agree with me on this, a lot of people will disagree with me on this. I understand that you want to stand up for your teammates. I get that. Somebody takes a couple cross checks, it's going to create a scrum. But there's good ways and bad ways to come to that scrum. Like, you don't need to start jabbing people in the face. Like, sure, get up in his face and say, like, hey, what the heck you doing? Like, blah, 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 right? Again, like you said, you want to go home and you want to see your kids and your family. Like, you have a life at home. Can you imagine you go home with 2 black eyes and some broken teeth? Because some guy doesn't, I mean, geez, your kids might not like you anymore, but just because somebody ran into you and gave you a slash at a game. You're wearing gear, guys. Did you forget that? It's a little slash. Deal with
Yeah.
it.
I know it's aggravating.
It is, and emotions, and I'm just worried because it happened last year, and it's going to happen again. You just hope it's not as bad as it can be. Emotions get high. We're playing for something. I get that. I've been there. I've played that type of hockey. I know what that's like. We're men. We're hotheads. Things don't go our way. We get pissed off. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is when a hockey play happens, you got to kind of suck it up and just deal with it. Just deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to be too, like, there's more important things than hockey, but anyway, at the end of the day, for me, it's just fitness, and it's just a fun way to exercise, because it's fun to skate and play and whatever, so that's what it is. You can hold the hardware at the end.
Yeah.
Cool. Good job. But I'm there to get a skate and go home. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I do want to touch on one thing with regards to that, and it's been touched when you mentioned it in the captain's group to all the captains. No matter how bad the situation is for your teammate in that situation, they have 4 other guys already on the ice. You got to stay on your bench, fellas. And I don't know the exact numbers of how many guys jumped on the bench because, again, the video is not the best. And like Matt said, we only can go by what the referees tell us because they are there in the play. But you got to stay on the bench. I fully believe that in the future, if that happens again, you step on the ice, that's a game, automatic. Because it creates what can possibly be a worse situation.
For sure. And that was recognized from the league and from the referees. It was noted that of the guys that got on the ice, it was done to de-escalate the situation, which is still not. I know, and it's still not acceptable. So it's still not something in any other league. You're suspended and stuff. So even if you're there to be a peacekeeper, just stay on the bench, and just because things will get more tense the more people that are involved. But for this case, it was kind of like let's just give them a warning, not to happen again. If somebody did jump on to engage in something, it was going to be a suspensionable act. But I don't want that to be taken as so I can jump on as long as I don't get involved negatively. No, just just stay out of it.
Yeah. So I think we kind of cleared the air on that one. And just to kind of sum it all up, Cale McClellan has been suspended for 2 games for his actions. And based on the recommendation from the officials, again, the officials get 95% of the say. We're just at the table. No other suspensions will be held. Referees have been talked to. Captains have been talked to. Things are going to hopefully tighten up in the playoffs. Midway through the regular season, you might get hooked down in the corner and the referees might laugh at you, tell you to get up. You got to call that in the playoffs. I'm sorry. So we'll see how things go Sunday night, but expect stuff to get called. I think there was one thing else that you mentioned about plays behind the play.
Yeah, so referees wanted to make it a point that if there was some sort of penalty that was not deemed a hockey play, it was subject to extra discipline. And the example was, let's say there's a breakout and there's still a guy in front of the net, and I didn't like that somebody was slashing the back of my leg, whether it was the defense or whoever. So the play's moving up the ice, it's in the neutral zone, I'm still mouthing off with the guy on the other end, and I give him a whack on the arm while we're kind of chirping each other. That is a non-hockey play that you'll get a 2-minute slash, for example, I don't know, but a 2-minute slash, but then a 10-minute unsportsmanlike conduct. So you're sitting in the box for 12 minutes. Things like that like you act out in aggression, there's just no place in the CHEL for it, and I'm not here for it. Like, I just don't want to see it. Just, if you want to be physical and have a physical altercation, text the guy, meet somewhere outside of the rink, and have fun. Like, it doesn't have to be done on this. I don't care what you do outside the ice hockey rink. Just don't, just have fun. And I don't know what else to say about that. But anyway,
Go to the engine room, buy each other a beer, tell each other how much you hate skating, and go home to your families.
So something deemed a non-hockey play is subject to extra discipline. I'm just going to leave it at that. And that's not me suggesting that. That came from them. But I fully support it because I'm all for removing as much stick work or unnecessary. Like, you can't punch me just because we're on the ice. Like, you wouldn't do that in Walmart. I don't know. Like, what's the difference because I'm wearing skates and a helmet? You can't just punch me still. Anyway.
Yeah, no. And again, the last thing I want to say on this is go easy on the refs. Because without the referees, we don't have a league. We don't play. It's not as fun as it is. Again, midway through the season when it doesn't really matter, they miss calls. Sure, they're human. Everybody forgets about the human error aspect of life. They're human. They're going to miss things. They're going to let things go. Probably because they just deem that, okay, he's lazy. He fell. I'm not calling that. Or, yeah, he gave him one whack. He gave him one whack back. Okay, skate away. They're going to do what they feel is right. And Matt and I feel I can say this for you. We support them 100%. We'll always, even if we're playing, I might not like it, but I get it. Yeah. So I think things are going to tighten up here in the playoffs. If you get called on something you don't think is right, just skate to the box. Don't give them any lip because, hey, you give them lip, they'll throw you out. They've been told to do that. They'll throw you out.
Yeah, and just so it is represented on the other side, the refs have been asked to tighten things up a little bit because I think things did get a little bit loosey-goosey, kind of, they're just there to kind of make sure the game flows. But I've asked them to tighten things up, so don't be surprised if there are a few more penalty calls, and just don't whack people with your stick. I don't know what else to say. But let's move on. Fun. I feel like we're beating a dead horse. Yeah.
Yeah, all good. Cale suspended 2 games. That's it. Moving on. Yeah.
just edit this out. What was the other topics we said? Is there anything else?
I think that might cover it for the CHEL. If we wanted to dive into some other stuff quickly. I got some notes
Yeah,
here that I can
so-
talk about some stuff.
Yeah, you said NHL draft awards. Owen Mullen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we're going to take a step back from the CHEL. I think we beat that horse now for a long time. Again, both of us have the Titans to win, so we'll see how that goes. Game starts Sunday night. So you mentioned somebody earlier that plays for the Bud Heavy that can't be there all the time, and that's Simon Mullen. And I'm going to toot the horn of the Mullen family for a minute, because what they're doing right now is kind of almost like the Stahl brothers. So the three brothers, Jordan, Eric, and Mark, all play in the NHL together. A couple of them have cups, doing great things. Well, you look at this Mullen family with Owen, Simon, and Elliot, exceptional golfers, very good golfers. Just to give you an idea, 2021, Owen, who arguably is probably the better of the three, won the junior provincial this is in PEI, won the junior provincial. Simon was 5th, Elliot was 15th. And I believe there was 60, 70 people in this tournament. It's pretty good. Then you go to 2022. Owen's a little older, so he wins the amateur. Simon is 2nd in the junior. Elliot is 4th. Again, these are brothers, so it's on its own that one can be good, but all three of them good. And I know you're not a big golfer, but to shoot the scores that these guys are shooting is extremely hard. As a golfer, it is hard, especially when you can't move the ball to give yourself an easy lie, or you can't take a 3-foot putt because you don't want to putt it, which I absolutely love to do. Then you come back 2023. Owen wins back-to-back provincial championships in PEI. Not even his own province. Just goes in other provinces. Hey, I'm going to win here too. Simon was 9th. Elliot was 13th. So they're consistently in the top 15, the three of them. Then Owen just says, "Hey, screw you guys. I'm going to Europe." And it's tough. This is the home of golf. It's tough. He was tied 19th after day one. Shot -3, day one.
Wow.
Incredible. Only Canadian in the field. Over 100 golfers. Unfortunate day two. Shot 3 over, missed the cut. But I think that's still something that we need to talk about, because these three brothers, I just want to touch on that brothers, because this doesn't happen very often that all three love golf or any sport. Take the Stahl brothers who play hockey, are that exceptionally well talented. And the last thing about Owen was that he's now won back-to-back provincial championships in PEI. He was tied 3rd in Nova Scotia last year, and that one's still yet to be played. I think it's this weekend, sorry. So we'll see if he can bring home another provincial championship.
That's amazing. How old is he now?
21, maybe 20.
Okay.
Still young. Still got the roots for him are crazy. Golf is hard because there's so many different tours. You look at Eric Banks. He's from Truro. I think he resides in New Brunswick now with his parents. He plays on what is called the East Coast Pro Tour. He just finished tied 6th in a tournament. And to have these type of people come, Isaac McNaughton is another one from Truro who's exceptionally well. If we want to expand a little further, those of you that actually play golf and know golf, there's a guy named Miles Creighton. He's from the Valley. I grew up I'm older than him, but I kind of followed him because he was always the best golfer in our age group. He's from Digby. He actually played in the Canadian Open this year, which is, that's pretty cool to play in your national open, to say that you've done that. He did miss the cut, but he is currently right now number 1 on the Latino America Tour. And if you finish first, you get exemption into the Corn Ferry Tour, which is like the AHL to the NHL. So that's a big thing, like, for Nova Scotia, for him. Like, that's pretty cool.
That's amazing. So, what do you think? Like, do you know? I don't know the golf community all that well, but who's the best golfer to come from Truro or
I
surrounding
don't.
community? I'll say
That's
Colchester.
fair. That's fair. Like, I don't know many of the older crew. I'm sure there's some guys that are, in their 40s and 50s now that are unreal. But when you look at the younger crew and you start talking about Owen or the Mullins, Isaac, Eric, like right now, and this is recent biased, I just feel on paper with the results that Owen has had, he is arguably the best golfer to come out of Truro.
Wow,
Is
that's
that
amazing.
the
That's
truth?
huge.
I don't know. But I mean, how do you? I mean, he potentially is gonna. And I personally feel I was looking today. I think the New Brunswick Amateur runs the same time as the Nova Scotia Amateur, which I don't know why they would, do that. But he could potentially own 50% of the Maritimes provincial championships. Not many people can do that.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. He's so young.
It's crazy, man. And golf is like, again, I wish you knew more about it because it's a fun thing to do. It's great, but when the pressure's on and everything counts, and you're standing over a 5-foot putt. Think about these guys on tour who make millions and millions of dollars. In 2003, Mike Weir had about an 8-footer to get into a playoff for the Masters. I could not imagine standing over that with 40,000 people, quiet. That's the one thing about golf, it's just so quiet. 40,000 people staring at you, and this putt is either going to make or break your career. He misses that putt, nobody talks about Mike Weir forever.
Wow,
But he will go down
true.
as arguably one of the greatest Canadian golfers because he won the Masters.
Is he not the greatest?
Well, I mean, there's not that many Canadian golfers, but he's certainly. I mean, you could argue that Nick Taylor is the greatest Canadian golfer right now because he won the Canadian Open on a 72-foot putt in the fourth playoff hole. But yeah, I mean, we don't have to talk about golf too much. I just know there is a golf crowd out there that are interested in it, so I'll definitely be your Ryan Whitney golf guy. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's good. It's pretty cool when you have that type of talent in such a small community like the the Mullen family. Again, Isaac McNaughton, Eric Banks is from Truro. So like these guys are out there. They're doing well for the community. They're doing well to represent themselves and their families. It's great to see. As a golf guy, you gotta love it. I did have the fortune of playing the 15th ranked course in Canada last weekend. No idea how it's ranked 15th in the country, but I played Highland Links and I don't know. I wish I knew more about how they rank them because like I could sit here and argue to you that for those of you that have played Brunello and how beautiful and amazing Brunello is, that should be ranked top 10, but it's not. It's not. I don't know where it's ranked to be honest, but Highland Links is still 15th and you don't have a driving range. I just don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand that. So that's my little golf segment for the evening.
I love it. I usually get out once a year playing golf, and it's just something I just never been good at. So I think I just haven't jumped into it. I also don't have the time to dedicate 4 hours of a day.
Play 9.
To go. Yeah, that's probably all I can mentally handle anyway. No, it's something. I do think I'll play more as we age, and my wife's actually a good golfer. She's better than I am. So I think it's something when we don't, the kids are kind of gone, and something we can do and stay active and walk and stuff. So I just got to practice now so that when I'm there, like when I'm that age, I can not be horrible.
Golf is the only sport I fully believe that is 100% yourself. I mean, you look at tennis, you're playing an opponent. Like you're hitting the ball back and forth, so you're relying on the other guy. Hockey's a team sport. Every other basketball, baseball, football, team sports. Cycling, you're racing against other guys. I just fully believe that golf is 100% the only sport that is you. and it's also 95% mental. Like, you hit one bad shot, you get in your own head. Now you're standing over a 2-foot putt and your hands are shaking on a side swider right to left. I'm not making this putt. That's why I picked them up. Pick them up, gimmies. Thank you.
Yeah, I think outside of track and field, that's where my head goes. But that's not really like, that's just athletic kind of, you know what I mean? You run 400 meters, it's more just athletic. It's not meant, that mental component was where golf separates. And it's more of a sport than I think just running. But anyway, we don't have to get into all
absolutely.
that. But
No, yeah, for sure.
yeah, I think that's a fair statement.
But just shout out to, like I said, shout out to the Mullen family. Like, well done, you guys are doing well. We're certainly following you guys. Maybe we can get you on the pod sometime. That'd be kind of cool to sit down and touch base, with you guys.
Would love that. Yeah, same. Eric Banks, any one of those athletes from Colchester. Like, this is what we're here for. I want to get down, get some conversation, get some stories, some stuff that the public or whatever may not know, or some things, just get a good conversation. So maybe we can pull some strings here and get some of those interviews rolling. But anyway, I think that's pretty good for tonight, Marty. Thanks so much for taking the time, and everybody for listening. And feel free to message the Instagram anytime with questions or things you'd like to see here on the podcast. And until next time,
I'm going to say one thing before we go. The NHL draft is tomorrow night. Are you following it at all? Like, do you know?
I think I might know who's going first overall.
Okay, that's a given. If Connor Bedard doesn't go first overall, as much as everybody wants to hate on Chicago, they need to be fired. They need to be relegated to the AHL. I
think I looked at the betting odds a long time ago, and you just couldn't make the bet. Like, it was
it's pretty much now.
You could bet on Victor Wembanyama though for the NBA to go first overall. I checked that one, but I checked for Connor Bedard. This was probably like 2 months ago, and it was like you could bet on who's going second, Fantilli or whoever the other ones were, but there was no option to pick Connor Bedard to go first overall and bet like even minus whatever 10,000 odds. It just wasn't there.
I'm checking this right now, but where I was going with that is
let me know, because I will sell my house and I will put that on Connor Bedard.
You heard it here first.
Okay, go ahead.
Going to sell us.
Hey, wait. What if we added gambling to the CHEL? Anyway, go ahead.
Man, are you going to be the bookie too? It's a lot of money. I'd
start a company. Anyway,
so NFL draft. So you cannot pick Connor Bedard. First over, you can't pick. You just can't pick Bedard. So it starts with the second pick as Fantilli, and right now, if you put $100 on Fantilli, you get $115. It's not so you get $15.
Zeros, bud. Add some zeros.
Yeah, $1,000 you get.
Keep going. Yeah. Keep going. This is why I don't gamble.
This is where things get interesting though, and I'll be short because I could talk about this for an hour. Fantilli is arguably unanimous number 2. Any other year, I think he's a number 1. I think he had a weird birthday. That's why he gets to go this year. And then things really get interesting at 3, 4, 5, 6, arguably. And as a Montreal fan, this is why I'm touching base on this, because I'm really passionate about this year, because I'm a Habs fan, and we're drafting 5th overall with the chance to get arguably a superstar.
The Fresh Prince.
Yeah. So Columbus is 3, I believe. They really want Will Smith. That's the consensus right now. And I'll tell you, I looked this up because I wanted to know. Do you know what the record is for the most points in 1 year for the under 18 United States National Development Team?
No idea.
So Gabriel Perreault has 132 points. He's also in this draft class. Not even talked about. He's like going to go like 10th or 11th just because I think his offensive upside is not really... I mean, he had 132 points. Will Smith has 127. Just put that in perspective. Matthews, 117. Jack Hughes, 116.
Wow. Okay.
So Smith third. There's a Swede, Leo Carlson, potentially third or fourth. I'm just really interested in what Montreal's going to do. Do we take Michkov at 5? That's the question.
What position's he?
He's a forward. He's arguably the best, second best, only to Bedard, skill-wise in this draft. If Bedard was not in this draft, and Fantilli isn't guaranteed to go second. I just think he's gonna go second to the Ducks. But if Bedard was out of this draft, and Michkov, the thing with it's Russian, with the war and with them not being in international competition, it really hurts his chances. He also didn't come to the draft combine, so the interviews that people were going to have with him, they couldn't have with him. So he signed 3 more years in the KHL. Like, everybody's worried about this guy, but he could. There's a guy that they compare him to in the NHL. You heard of Nikita Kucherov?
He's all right.
He's okay. So to get this guy, like, I don't know. Then there's Ryan Leonard and Reinbacher. Like, this draft is loaded. Top 10 is loaded. So to make this short, draft is tomorrow night. Watch the draft. Hockey fans, watch the draft. Could you imagine we had a draft in the CHEL?
It'd be fun, but
Be
I don't
hard.
think draft leagues don't work.
So,
you mean like for youth coming in? Like, if
Yeah.
a new player had to come in.
Yeah, so I played in a league back home in the Valley. It was the Kentville Rec League, the KRHL. And not the KHL, but the KRHL. So when you left high school or left junior B or university or junior A or whatever it would be, a list it comes in at the end of the year. Say, hey, are you interested in playing the rec league? You put your name down and send it in. They have a list of 15 to 20 guys, and again, it's the same thing. Like, hey, like, I live next door to you. It makes sense for me to play with you. I'm going to travel back and forth. They're going to accommodate you the best they can. However, they actually have a draft. All the team captains sit in the room, and there's 20 names on the paper, and whoever finished last year can pick the best player on paper to go on their team. Which was it, and it always worked out in a way that people liked it. Like a guy, Dan Pedersen, came from Acadia, and he knew a lot of guys, I believe it's the Frogs that they played for. They were the worst team the year before, so he luckily got to go on the Frogs. But yeah,
I love the concept, but I think that it happened this year where a guy said, I'm not playing for any other team. I'm not playing in the league if I can't play for this team, and he was ineligible because they had too many pros.
Right.
So he played in the queue, and that's just my worry is that anyway. And then you get.
Do you know what I call that though? Selfish.
Yes, I do know.
Selfish. Play the game, man. Why do you play hockey?
They want
Because
to
you
win
love
a
the
gentleman's league
game.
trophy and hold it above their head.
Yeah, I play hockey because I love the game. I love, Spencer Mask will say, it's in the dressing room, man.
Yeah.
It's in the
That's with
dressing
your
room.
buddies.
Forget the ice.
Sweet. We'll wrap it there. Thanks so much for listening and tuning in. I'm a little stuffed up. We'll catch you here after the first. We'll do maybe a podcast throughout the playoffs, and then we'll do one to wrap up the year maybe, and then take a break here before the winter CHEL starts, and maybe touch on some other stuff in August. We do have a guest confirmed up. We're just trying to iron out the logistics, but that'll be coming soon as well. So stay tuned for some different content here from the Colchester Sports Podcast with some local talent, local community, and we'll get some local stories as well. So thanks so much, and we'll catch you next time.